What's up everybody? My name is Elliott, but you can call me the Motory Notary. Because I'm a notary public and I do a lot of stuff with cars, but I almost never talk about the notary part. That's the joke. Today I'm back with everybody's favorite and the occasional bane of my existence, my 2005 Volvo V70 R. And I've actually been driving this car lately, so it's time for an update about what's going on with it. And before we dive right into the Volvo, I do want to remind you all that at the end of this month, I will be in Auburn, Indiana for Worldwide Auctioneer's Auburn Auction, a 3-day huge event that is just my absolute favorite thing to do in the entire year. There are so many cool cars and so many cool things to do, and I'll be there doing live coverage for them, which is always fun to watch. I get to drive cars on stage. My co-host Kayla is wonderful. We have a great time. There's so many laughs, and I get to make videos of my own while I'm there. I get to go around, be around these really cool cars. So if you guys haven't tuned into that before, I encourage you to do so this year. It is so much fun. And if you're even remotely in the Auburn, Indiana area, I've got an opportunity for you to go there for free. So watch until the end of this episode for more details on that. Anyway, let's get right into the Volvo. Let's begin with a little recap of my Volvo experience. When I first bought this car from Eurasian Bob, it did run, but barely. It was sputtery, it really wouldn't get into boost, it felt like it was running on 3 cylinders, and that's okay, because we brought it back here, we did all of the normal stage 0 stuff, plugs, coils, fuel filter, you know, all the basic car maintenance rigmarole to get a car that runs like that running like normal. And afterwards, it did run just fine. But that is when all of the other issues on this car started to kind of rear their heads. After you get a car running, you kind of notice all of the little things, and this thing has a lot of little things. First and foremost, I believe either the interior got flooded or it experienced some sort of flooding at some point in its life, because this car's electronic modules were all shot. And I mean every single computer in this car, of which there are many, had to be replaced at some point or another. It was so bad that not even Volvo techs could tell what was going on with them because the computer modules were so bad they couldn't communicate accurately which one was bad. So it was kind of like whack-a-mole replacing these modules, some of which more than once, and it was just an absolute nightmare and crazy expensive. But eventually, after much frustration and many dollars, we got that sorted out. So now we could kind of look at what is going on with the car mechanically. And unfortunately, there was a lot of that as well. The car was leaking from different places, but the most important things to me were every time you drove it and got on it and really ran it up through the RPMs, the second you let off, you would get this big puff of smoke that looked like a smoke screen out of the back of this thing. We tried to replace the PCV system, which is not an easy job on these cars because this car failed the glove test. So oh no, oh no. So I was like, oh, that's probably why. It's having a lot of blow-by. That's what the oil smoke is. Nope, it wasn't that. We tried a few other things and it ended up needing an entirely new turbo. So yes, one of the most expensive things to replace on this car needed to be replaced. But luckily the folks at NM Turbo were there to help, and I got the turbo in this car completely rebuilt and we replaced it. Now, no more smoke. Next problem. Every time you got on to boost, this thing would kind of chirp the front tires. Supposed to be all-wheel drive. So that's kind of an issue. To find out why, we kind of put it in the snow. Turns out, only the front wheels span. So these cars have a common issue called the angle gear, and that strips very easily on these cars, and it's also a pain to replace. So I had that replaced for a lot of money, and now the car is all-wheel drive. Next up, we replaced the power steering pump because it was leaking and moaning and doing all of the things. It was just kind of a domino effect of stuff to replace on this car. After all of that, I think we've got the car pretty mechanically sorted. Now that doesn't mean that it doesn't have some things. I mean, look, the paint. But as far as a running and driving car goes, this thing's good to go now. And the reason I'm talking about all this is because I have been driving this car out of necessity, because the backbone of this channel, like it or not, the Toyota Prius is down right now, and I'll get to that a little bit later. But right now, I'm going to switch you to handheld mode, and we'll walk and talk about some of the few little tiny things that need to be done on this car and kind of figure out whether I'm even going to do them, because some of them I think the next owner can just deal with. So let me grab you, and we'll walk around the Volvo. And voila, handheld mode. Let's take a look on the outside of the car and see what else is going on with it. Obviously, we've got the paint. I discussed this in a previous video. I'm literally just saving up money to have this repainted. It's really the only external blemish on the car. There's not even any dents or anything. It just got fried by the sun. Walking around, we get to the brakes, which I said are brand new. Practically every piece on this car has been replaced that is user replaceable. So let's go to the inside because that's kind of where the last remaining things are in this car. As I said, I have been driving this every day, right down to both baby seats being in the back. It is a fantastic family hauler. I mean, for what it is, a wagon, it's great at being a wagon. It just so happens to be fast and stick shift and cool. Inside here, this is where the last few remaining things are. So over here, you have this A-pillar droopiness, and I think this could be fixed probably with some spray adhesive. It's happening on both sides. It's not the end of the world, but you know, it's easy enough to fix. Thank you, Siri. Like I said, it's not the end of the world, but it's easy enough to replace that, you know, we'll try to just figure that one out. Of course, the parking brake could be adjusted because this is like all the way up and that's the only way it grabs. But the last few things are actually on the dash, and it's the things that it's mad about when you start it. So start it up. First up, you start the car and it says park assist service required. So what this is they're the little parking sensors on the back bumper. I don't know if they're disconnected or if one is burnt out. I believe the computer told me at some point, but it honestly doesn't matter because it's not something I'm that interested in fixing. I looked it up and like each one of those sensors was like $400 and I'm like, honestly, it's okay. I can clear this warning every time I get in the car. Not a big deal. Next up, it says alarm system service required. And it's not because the car doesn't lock and unlock with the fob. It's mad because there's a separate horn that like honks to confirm that it's locked and might be the horn that goes off if somebody tries to break into it. That has either been disconnected or doesn't work. And again, it's one of those things that was just too expensive and too much of a pain in the butt for me to really worry about. Honestly, I don't leave this car outside that often. I think that is something I'm going to leave for the next owner. But the third thing that this car does when you start to move it is something that might make Volvo people run for the hills. But I say, let's get this car out on the road and I can tell you how it's running and driving today in Kansas on a 95-degree day. Now, when you start to actually move in the Volvo, you get this lovely warning message. Chassis settings service required. Now, for all you Volvo fans out there watching, you know exactly what that means. It means the dreaded 4C suspension is experiencing an error. And for everybody else that doesn't know what it is, this car has an active chassis setting. It's like an early adaptive suspension system. So it's got like a comfort, a sport, and advanced, and you're supposed to be able to switch between them on the fly. And when working correctly, obviously it changes it from comfort to sport to advanced, which I guess is more sport. Now, because I got this warning light, it means mine is kind of locked in sport. Totally fine with me. And in fact, I've actually connected this thing to the computer to see exactly what's wrong, and it's just getting a misread from the solenoid in the front right. Now, the reason I'm not too concerned with this is because the suspension itself is not failing or broken. The car rides and drives just fine, and honestly, I'd probably leave it in sport most of the time anyway. Now, obviously, the next owner might want to change this. Here's the drawback. If you actually want to do it correctly and replace it with 4C suspension from Volvo and make it be all active like that, it's really expensive. I'm talking thousands of dollars. Now, normally, I would want to do that and I'd want it to be right. But this car's not exactly a concourse example in the first place. And like I said, it rides and drives just fine for me. So I think I'm going to leave that to the next owner. Obviously, let me know what you guys think of that in the comments. But as far as everything else goes, the car's been great. I've really put some miles on it lately, like more than I ever have been trouble-free, knock on wood. The clutch action is fine, the shifter feels great. And how about that new turbo? Well, here is kind of a sticking point for me. Yes, it doesn't blow smoke anymore, but as we roll onto it here, you can feel you have to let it go. And about 5,000 RPMs now, it's starting to spool. And for a car that's this delicate, I really don't like wrapping it up that high. Not that it doesn't feel good, I just have had bad luck with this car. Now, what's the reason for that? Because I got a turbo rebuild. I didn't do a new upgraded turbo. Well, Nick at NM Turbo actually did me a huge favor. He upgraded the internals of my stock turbos. You know, it's got a different impeller size, the number of fins is different, and it is technically an upgrade. But because that is the only thing that is upgraded on this car, it now takes forever to spool. It kind of felt a little bit faster before, even though this is a better turbo and I'm probably making slightly more power. I think I need the supporting mods to really take advantage of the upgrades that have been done. Now again, this is all great on NM Turbo's part. There's nothing wrong. It's just, it's different. Oof, there's that P2 turning radius. Let's get on it again a little bit here too. It still sounds amazing. Oh, and then right there, 5,000 RPMs, you can really feel it surge. Oh, I mean, it's a good car to drive. And the best part is, no puff of blue smoke every time I do that, which was the case before the turbo rebuild. But seriously, this car has actually saved my bacon, which is crazy because normally this car breaks and I need the Prius. Unfortunately, the Prius is the one with the issue, and it's the backbone of the channel. That's the one car I need to work. Let's head back to the studio and I can show you what's going on with the Toyota Prius. Okay, so the Volvo overall is really good. So what is going on with the Prius? Well, as you can see, it is not normally parked behind this absolutely pristine 1960 Corvette, but alas, here it is. This is because over the last few weeks, I've kind of noticed a vibration at highway speed, which was concerning but not dangerous. Then one Sunday, I got a low tire pressure warning. Walked around, didn't see any of them visibly low, so I just kind of went to top it off, see which one was low. And when I found the one that was low, well, I saw something very alarming. Let me show you. I crouched down here, like you do, undid the valve stem like normal, and I looked under here, and you see these? That's some steel, which means that tire is pretty darn bald and therefore pretty dangerous. So today I kind of wanted to jack it up, look how bad it actually is, and then get these tires swapped out so I can start driving this again. I know everybody in the comments like, you have that, why would you want this? This is kind of just an easier car, and like I said, this is the one car I don't want to be broken. I need this one to work. All of the other ones can be broken. This one needs to work. So let's look how bad this tire is and see if I can even drive it over to the tire shop. Excuse the dull roar in the background, the air conditioner's on, it is hot outside. Tire's off now, and yikes.
Yikes.
That probably is the cause of my vibration.
Absolutely a cause.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I got poked by this when I reached back there. I didn't realize how bad it was. That is crazy. Man, this thing is way bald too. So folks, it's important to take care of your daily drivers too.
Can you see the bald?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's probably where it's been skipping. We didn't make a video of it because it wasn't that interesting. We put this thing up on the lift and we shook all of the front end and looked at all the components and everything looked fine. It was just a mystery vibration. I didn't think to check the right rear tire. That is crazy. But now, Uncle Glenn, I'm gonna do the advised thing that I don't advise anybody else to do. We're gonna put the tire right back on and I'm gonna drive on that, knowing that it looks like that, over to the tire shop because, well, that's just what needs to be done. Plus, I want this car to get in alignment because something is amiss. So let's pop the tire back on and hope that we make it all the way to the tire store. All right, been driving for a little bit now. So far, so good. Now, honestly, there's a faster way to this tire store taking the highway, but with the looks of that, I think I'm done being on the highway with this current set of tires. All this thing needs to do is last a few more miles, and we should be good to go in the Prius. Again, I don't recommend doing this, doubly so because I'm holding a camera while driving a car with a known bad tire. This is a definitely do as I say, not as I do moment. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, but again, I officially don't recommend this. Come on, little Prius, I need you. We need this to work, and I mostly need you to make it there so that I can help you make it work. So there you have it. In a stunning turn of events, the Volvo has rescued me and the Prius has more or less left me stranded. Needless to say, in my relationship with both of these cars, it has almost always been the other way around. And honestly, over the past week or so, this Volvo has been completely dead nuts mechanically reliable. I don't even think it's burned any oil. I should probably check on that before making that statement. And yep, looks like it hasn't burned any oil. But anyway, let's move on to the fun stuff, like the Worldwide Auctioneer's Auburn auction. Now, you all can tune in live to see me and my co-host Kayla do the auction, and it's a lot of fun. But if you're even remotely in the Auburn, Indiana area, I've got free tickets for you. All you have to do is go to destinationauburn.com/tickets. Enter the amount of tickets you want, go all the way to the checkout, enter promo code Elliott. That's my name, it's ELLIOTT, and you will get free admission to every single day at the Auburn auction. Now, of course, I'd love to meet you guys if you come, so do it, enter the promo code, get your free tickets, find me at the auction and come up and say hi. This is an awesome opportunity that the folks at Worldwide have provided me, and honestly, you guys get to reap the benefits. Come to the coolest auction of the year in Auburn, Indiana, the last month of August, right at Labor Day. Thank you guys for watching this video. We'll have more with the Volvo soon. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media. I'll have more information about Worldwide there. Of course, my Instagram is a lot of fun. I post previews of episodes there. Like me on Facebook, join my Facebook group. It's a great place to share memes, and I'm almost always in there interacting in the comments. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment on this video because it'll help me get a little bit closer to actually painting this hood. And other than that, I will see you guys on the next video.